The Graduate, 1967, directed by Mike Nichols, tells the story of Ben, a recent college graduate who has no idea what he wants to do with his life. After being seduced by Mrs. Robinson, a family friend and a married woman, he develops a summer-long affair with her that creates many more problems than it actually resolves. Torn between Mrs. Robinson and her beautiful daughter Elaine, Ben must make significant sacrifices and choose who he really wants to be with and pursue. Will he get the girl of his dreams or have everything ripped away by her mother and father? The Graduate stars Dustin Hoffman as Ben, Anne Bancroft as the iconic Mrs. Robinson, and Catherine Ross as Elaine. The Graduate had a budget of just $3 million and recouped that and made $100 million more upon box office release. But the story of how The Graduate came to be is a rather interesting one. Lawrence Terman, who would later become the film's producer, found Charles Webb's novel The Graduate as a form of comedic genius in 1963. However, he would have a challenging time convincing any writer or director of its potential as a feature film over the next 2 years. People didn't take the story seriously and saw it as childish or undeveloped. The young Mike Nichols, with the inspiration of his muse and former partner Elaine May, would eventually come to take up on the project in 1965 as the film's director, though. With meticulous writing skills of the albeit hesitant screenwriter Calder Willingham, and help from the improvisational writer Buck Henry, Nichols would bring the pulp fiction novel to life in his directorial debut, The Graduate. Overall, the film has been praised and highly regarded as one of the best films in American cinema. However, despite so much praise for its spot-on satire and perfectly timed drama mixture, some critics have said that its mocking of innocence is half-developed and unfinished. Personally, I would disagree with this notion because I feel like the film represents innocence in a more three-dimensional aspect and is a bit more complex than other critics may have noticed. I would say that Ben sees his innocence and reflects on that throughout the first part of the film, but then grows to adapt to the world around him and acknowledge the changes that he needs to make in order to have a fulfilling life. So I think that although the innocence is played on in an intricate way, it's not necessarily neglected or disrespected in any sense throughout the second or third act of the film. I also think that The Graduate hits just right even today. We can appreciate the awkward tension between Ben and many of the other characters, especially the adults in the film, and recognize the severely poor choices of several of the main characters in the movie. Besides the plot, though, there are plenty of great features worth mentioning about The Graduate. Firstly, the soundtrack of The Graduate was very unique. Hearing Simon and Garfunkel perform The Sound of Silence and Scarborough Fair really helps to set the tone of the film and the scenes they encompassed, providing some essence of the dramata to this comedy drama film. And getting away from more of the ironic and silly moments and teasing things and plot elements, we start to see some of the more developed and adult themes of the film. There was also some really interesting camera work done, like a full zoom shot specifically showing Mrs. Robinson and then Ben from different distances to show that dynamic relationship. Several of the scenes filmed in a car were also very intense, with internal shots from a sort of passenger's view of the road during these high-stakes moments that really helps to create a sense of scaredness and just overall anxiety about the moment that's happening in front of you. Nichols' use of high and low angle positioning of characters and just overall shots also does a great job of establishing a power dynamic of some of the adult characters over Ben throughout the film. So if you're watching, definitely keep an eye out for this. Outside of the technical aspects of the film, The Graduate also deals with a lot of sympathy toward the younger generation, which is something that was more common in the 1960s compared with previous films from different eras. So something that we start to see more of is a acceptance of younger generations and their own issues and developments in their heads and also external issues. All in all, this film deals with some very real problems, which I definitely appreciate. Even though the characters are severely flawed and exhibit deplorable behaviors even at times, The Graduate offers a chance to recognize and acknowledge their actions as lamentable and imperfect. Overall, I would say that this film is definitely worth a watch, and while it's not my favorite from the time, it is definitely monumental in some of the film techniques that it uses, and definitely with the plot elements that it encompasses. So definitely give The Graduate a chance and check it out when you can.